What's happening, guys? It's Jeremy Blanton with RE/MAX Southern Shores, and today I want to share with you 5 reasons why you may not want to move to Myrtle Beach. These are some reasons that I've heard complaints from clients over the years. I've been selling real estate here now for well over 20 years, and these are some of the complaints I hear from people who are moving to the area or people who say, I'm going to move out of the area. So the first one that I want to discuss today is our weather, and not just the weather. Yeah, we love the winters that are mild and the great, no snow or maybe a little bit of it, but I want to talk the other time of year. The summers. It can be unbearably, brutally hot here in our area. Not only is it going to be really, really hot, but it's also going to have a super high level of humidity that's going to go along with that. What does that mean? Well, that means that you can spend a lot of time getting ready to go out, with your wife on a date or, doing whatever, and you're all ready to go and you start walking out the door. And as soon as you go out the door, you're just blasted in the face by that heat. The minute that heat hits you, you're starting to break a sweat instantly. My wife, her hair's a little bit wavy, so a lot of times she'll spend a lot of time straightening it, getting it to look all beautiful, and we literally walk out the door and the humidity hits it and it just starts to raise up like that. So first problem that a lot of people run into here in our area is just the extreme heat that we have. So if you're somebody who cannot deal with that, you're either going to be someone who spends a lot of time inside with air conditioning, or you may not want to move to the area. Now, one of the beautiful things about here in the Horry County area is that our homes are designed and built to deal with the extreme heat. We have central air in all of these homes. It's got high ceilings. It's going to be designed to run fairly efficient and keep the homes cool and comfortable inside. We keep our house during the day probably around about 74, 75 degrees. And then at night when we go to bed, we'll drop it down a couple degrees, maybe to like 71, 70 degrees. So that's a little bit cooler in the home. If the house is built properly, your bills are going to be fairly affordable. Our house, it's a rather large house. It's about 3,900 heated square feet. And our electric bills in the middle of summer, maybe $250 to $300. So it can be pretty affordable to keep the house comfortably cool. If you're somebody who can deal with paying a little bit more for your utilities and don't mind a little bit of extreme heat, then Myrtle Beach might be the best spot for you. But if you're someone who says, you know what, I just do not want to sweat the minute I go outside, then Myrtle Beach might not be your spot, and it's okay. There's other places around the country to move instead. Okay, the second thing that you got to pay attention to, and probably the second complaint, biggest thing that I hear about our area, is our severe weather that we deal with during the summertime. Myrtle Beach is along the coast. It's an area which can have a lot of hurricanes that come through. So basically from June to September, you could have the potential of severe weather hurricanes coming through our area. They can be anywhere from a tropical depression up to a Category 5 hurricane. We just had one that came through here a few weeks ago, Hurricane Debbie. Well, when it got here, it was really more Tropical Storm Debbie. But the thing with hurricanes is this. Someone who is new to the area, they're going to freak out. During this storm, it was going to come through here possibly as a Hurricane Category 1, or maybe a tropical storm or a tropical depression. We weren't really sure. So people in our area started to freak out and lose their ever-loving minds. I had previous clients reaching out to me saying, Jeremy, where do I go to buy sandbags? What do I do with all my stuff? How do I handle this hurricane come? What do I do? Should I leave? Should I board up my home? What do I need to do? One of the best comments I saw was by a friend of mine on Facebook who's a local. She's lived here for a long time, and this is what she said. She said, listen, Hurricane Debbie, it's going to be maybe a Category 1, probably more tropical storm, tropical depression. In those types of storms, we don't even worry about taking our trash can inside. It's not going to be that much. And well, when the storm came through, it really wasn't. Which reminds me, the other thing that I always say to everyone is this. When it comes time to plan for hurricanes, plan for that severe weather, do not go to the Weather Channel as your source for finding out what's happening. Instead, as I've said many times, in Ed we trust. Ed Piotrowski, he's a local meteorologist here in town. He's the one that you want to pay attention to. He's the one that you want to listen to. He's going to start to go live every night around 8 p.m. and do a Facebook Live on his Facebook page to share, here's the latest update of what to expect. And so, for example, with this last storm that just came through, Hurricane Debbie, he started sharing what he could, and he would always say along the way, now listen, We don't know yet what it's going to do. It's still several days away, but there is a potential of it to have very high levels of rain. At one point, those levels were up to 15 to 20 inches of rain, which if it had done that, we would have had a lot of catastrophe here in our area. But as the storm got closer and got closer, those numbers started to change, and it went from 15 to 20 down to 10 to 15. Then it went 7 to 10. Then it went 6 to 10. Then it went 4 to 7. And we ended up having right around that 7-inch mark of rain here in the Carolina Forest area. But Ed was able to keep us updated all the way through, telling us what's going on with the storm, how we can expect winds to be. Is there potential of a flood? Is there potentials of tornadoes? All that stuff taking place. So when it comes to storms, you pay attention to him. But if you're someone who freaks out in extreme weather situations, Myrtle Beach might not be the spot you want to move. Okay, so the third thing on the list that I want to talk about, and this is another gripe that I've heard more and more lately, is the traffic and the congestion and just the amount of it that takes place here in the Myrtle Beach area. Guys, listen, we are a tourist destination. We are a tourist town. So during the high season of the year, when all the tourists are in town, there is going to be a little bit more traffic. Now, there are also going to be other sections where you have the quote rush hour. You know, I went live the other week on my channel with my wife, and she's originally from the northern Atlanta, Georgia area, and she shared her thoughts on rush hour traffic here in Myrtle Beach. Basically, what it means in our area is our rush hour is maybe a 15 to 20 minute period of time where instead of getting from point A to point B being done in 10 minutes, it's going to take 15 minutes. It might take an extra 5 to 10 minutes to get where you want to be, but it's not going to be like in a major city like New York or in Atlanta or Los Angeles, where people see true rush hour where they're stuck for 45 minutes to 2 hours sitting there like a parking lot, not moving at all. I don't know of any place really in Myrtle Beach where that's going to ever take place. Now, you will see from time to time on Highway 501 that there could be a little bit heavier congestion of traffic, and it might take an extra 15 to 20 minutes to get where you need to be. But for someone who's a local, who's lived here now for 20 plus years, I know how to get around those areas, and I also know the times when you don't want to go to 501. Me personally, I don't want to go to 501 ever unless I have to. But if I have to, I don't want to do it on Friday afternoons. I don't want to do it between 4:30 and 6 o'clock at night. And I don't really want to do it in the morning between 8 to 9 a.m. Those are the main rush spots where traffic can be a little bit heavier. But if you can skip going during those times, you can pretty much get on and move maybe 45 to 55 miles an hour. So when you hear people complaining, you know, and I've shared the story before about my clients, Jim and Tanya, that moved down from New Jersey. They were buying up in Little River because they went to a restaurant and the server there said, hey, you don't want to live down in Carolina Forest. The traffic there is so horrible. That's because that server lived in Little River. They had been there for the last 30 plus years. They grew up there their whole life. And so they saw Carolinas be built up from a dirt road of a dead end up to where it is now today, where we have a lot of traffic and a lot of people here in our area. And so to them, they think this area is just so congested. But when Jim and Tanya finally took the ride down here and drove through Carolina Forest, they went, wait a minute. Everything we want to do for day-to-day living is conveniently nearby. We're close to the airport, we're close to the beach, we're close to shopping, we're close to restaurants, we're close to anything and everything we need within 5 to 10 minutes of our house. This traffic here is nothing in comparison to what we used to go and deal with every day in New Jersey. We have no problem dealing with it. We love it. We're moving to Carolina Forest. So when it comes to the traffic and you start looking at it, you can go online, you can watch videos, you can talk to people locally, you can read all kinds of blog posts and websites and all types of information. But what I would suggest is this. Go do it yourself. Drive through those areas at different times of the day and see what you think. You may not think that traffic's that bad once you actually get your own 2 eyes on it and drive through it yourself. But if you can deal with those things, then Myrtle Beach is definitely a spot you want to check out. But if you say, hey, I don't want to deal with any traffic at all, that's okay. we'll find you a house then out towards the country and you don't have to deal with it at all. Just know you're gonna drive 15-20 minutes to get to anything you might need on a daily basis. Okay, so the fourth thing on our list that we wanna talk about is that Myrtle Beach and the city and surrounding areas does not really have a lot of walkability. If you're someone who's coming from a larger city area where you're used to being able to just walk from point A to point B when you need to go somewhere and not have to worry about getting in the car to get around, then Myrtle Beach is probably not gonna be the place for you. Unfortunately, everything in our area is pretty well spread out. So if I want to go somewhere, I'm going to need to load in the car, drive probably 5 to 7 minutes maybe to get there. Maybe it's 3 to 4 plus miles in order to get somewhere. Now you may say 3 to 4 miles, that's not too bad, I'll ride my bike. Well, the problem is that our road systems are not designed for bicycles and walking. They are designed for vehicles. Some of the areas are starting to add more bike paths and walking paths and things. For example, International Drive, they now have a bike path on there. Carolina Forest Boulevard, there's biking paths on that road as well to get around. But when you go into other parts of the city, go over into the city limits inside Myrtle Beach, you don't want to ride your bike down 17 bypass. Trust me, you don't want to do it. You don't want to try to have to walk across 17 Business or Kings Highway. It's a 6-lane road with a left turn lane in the middle, and unfortunately the tourists that are driving on that road are not paying attention to you. Instead, they're doing what I used to call the tourist left. Meaning, hey, we're driving along, we're trying to get to that Outback. Oh, there it is. And they just cut across 3 lanes of traffic, not seeing if anybody's in there to get into that parking lot, because that bloomin' onion's really good. They got to get there for that bloomin' onion, right? Now, unfortunately, the tourists are not paying attention to you, so you want to make sure that you're safe. The best way to do that is to be in a vehicle and getting around. So if you're someone who may not have a license or someone who doesn't like driving a bunch, Myrtle Beach might not be the best place to you. But if you don't mind hopping in the car for that 3 to 5 minute drive to get around, then definitely come on and check out the area. Okay, and the fifth and final reason why you may not want to move to Myrtle Beach is that we, my friends, are a tourist town. If you don't like tourism, you don't like tourists, you don't want to deal with people from out of town that are here, then Myrtle Beach is not going to be the place for you to consider moving. I hate to say it, but the main source of revenue for everything in our area comes from the tourists who come into town. I welcome the tourism. Come on in, enjoy it, spend your time here, spend your money, keep our taxes down. Makes affordability for me much better here in our area. But if you're someone who says, I don't want to have to wait 45 minutes or an hour to go to eat somewhere, then you may not want to come to Myrtle Beach. You know, the other night, our church did a beach baptism on Sunday night. And after it was over, my wife and I said, we're hungry. We're over here at the beach. Let's go grab some food. We said to our friends, you want to go join us? They said, sure. So we decided we were going to go over to Carolina Roadhouse, which sits right in the heart of Myrtle Beach. We showed up there about 7:45, walked in the door. It was an hour wait at 7:45 on a Sunday night. Now, because we're locals, we don't have to wait around just to get that amazing loaded potato soup. Instead, we loaded back up in our car, drove over to another restaurant, found another spot away from the tourism a little bit, and we were able to walk in the door, sit down, and have a good meal instead. So we're used to it though. We know this, and we thought maybe we might get lucky and be able to have a good meal for once inside the city limits. Well, not time of the year yet for that. We'll wait, go there November, December when it's off season and be able to get that type of stuff. But if you're someone who can't deal with tourism, you don't want to see beachwear stores on every corner. You don't want to have to deal with all the loud signs and lights and everything of Ripley's Aquarium and the Upside Down House and the Sky Wheel and all of the other amazing tourism things that Myrtle Beach has to offer, then you may not want to move here. But if you're someone like me who can deal with it, you then want to pick a place like where I live in Carolina Forest. I'm 10 to 15 minutes away from all of the tourism stuff that takes place here in Myrtle Beach. If I want to go and enjoy it, I can simply load in my car, drive over 10 to 15 minutes, enjoy all the tourism things. You know, as school's coming back into session, one of the things my wife and I always do, usually the week before, is we go and play tourists. You know, I air quoted that, play tourists here in town. You know, we try to take our kids and go and enjoy some of the cool stuff that Myrtle Beach has to offer with our kids before they're back in school on a regular basis. So that means we might go to the water park, we might go to the Upside Down House, we might go to Top Golf or play mini golf or go check out Pop Stroke, the new mini golf place that Tiger Woods built. We might walk around Broadway at the beach or do some of the other fun tourism things that Myrtle Beach has to offer. This time of year, it's not quite as crowded because people are not coming to the beach as much. We can get in, enjoy it. A lot of them even have local discounts that we can go and have a good time with. And then we get to go at the end of the day, get in our car, drive back home, and go to sleep. It's great having all of it nearby and close to us, but we don't have to live in it. So if you're thinking about moving to the Myrtle Beach area, that's something that I might say consider for sure. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Now, if you want to learn more about moving to the area, all my contact information is going to be down below. Feel free to go there, send me an email to info@jeremyblanton.com, or if you have specific questions that you want answered, go to jeremyblanton.com. You can book a 30-minute call right there. It connects directly into my calendar where we can have a discussion, talk about your needs of moving to the area, and figure out the best plan to get you moved down here to the Myrtle Beach area. Anyway, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, get the bell on, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.